Hello, everyone. This is Harshal Desai from Express Computer, the IT publication from the Indian Express Group. I welcome you all today in an exclusive interaction with Mr. Raj Jain, who is Chairman, Managing Director, and CEO at RS Software. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Herschel.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me on your call.
Thank you. A brief introduction to Mr. Rajan. He is the founder, CEO, and CMD, as I said, of RS Software, a company engaged for 25 years in the core areas of electronic payment.
Actually,
Mr.
30
Jain,
years.
30 years, more than 30 years now. All right. Mr. Rajan also co-founded the fourth chapter in Silicon Valley of Young Presidents Organization, which is a global network of young chief executives that connects more than 20,000 peers and their families in more than 100 countries to learn, exchange ideas, and address the challenges leaders face today. He champions entrepreneurship and speaks at various global forums and universities, and we are fortunate to have him today with us for an exclusive interaction. So, without much delay, Mr. Jain, my first question to you, and of course, our viewers would, love to understand this thing. If you can please elaborate on RS Software's vision of delivering mission critical payment solution at the speed of thought, right? And how does this vision guide the company's strategic direction?
Wonderful, Herschel. Thanks for the kind introduction. For the Indian audience, I would like to also let them know I am the past chairman of NASSCOM as well in 1999. And NASSCOM, of course, in the technology industry, done an amazing job, both in India as well as globally. And so to get to your question, payments at the speed of thought. And this is something where, as one would imagine, the target keeps moving. The whole idea is about high speed, high volume payment transactions. So if I think about it, when our software got started on this journey of working with payments, it was with the Visa, who is the number one player, continues number one player even today, 30 plus years later in the payments world. And I remember our first project involved with their core system on the authorization side. And that was about 500 transactions per second, that platform at that time. And over the years, as we started working with them, the goal became how to continuously enhance that authorization engine to higher levels, because the growth of digital payments was happening globally. And the journey from 500, and we are probably the only company in the world that has worked with Visa's core team to take that platform 500 to 50,000 transactions per second. That, of course, happened over a couple of decades. And that is how we learned that with the increased adoption, what you really need to do is to keep getting payments processed at a much faster pace. I mean, for example, the UPI infrastructure, the platform in India, in fact, all of digital payment infrastructure of India is also exclusively built by our software. And I remember when we first architected the UPI platform, it was done for at a level of 2,000 transactions per second, and just about 7.5 years post-launch, because the launch happened on 11th April 2016 of UPI. Now it's about, I would say, coming close to 7.75. And last month, as you all probably know from public domain, that UPI platform processed 11 billion transactions in a month, hugely high. Then you think about the fraud and risk management platform for India, which RS Software designed, architected, has its own IP, operates it for the country. That platform is on track to process annualized rate of 150 billion transactions per year. And you think about it, this platform was architected originally also for 2000 transactions per second. So now, if you look at all of these real-time experiences that our software has had over the past 30 years, we moved from 500 TPS to over 50,000 to billions of transactions in a year. And this target will keep moving as adoption goes higher. And that's what I mean by payments at the speed of thought, which we have been able to personify through our track record over the years.
Right. Thank you so much for those inputs. Many things, lot of things you have undertaken in the past and worked with several stakeholders in India and across the world, right? It takes a lot of, infrastructure. You need to manage, integrate infrastructure.
Yeah.
You need to manage applications and, services to address the needs of both consumer and businesses. So how does the company approach all these components?
See, when you think about the payments world, right? Security, reliability, availability, these are great, but they're table stakes. But to deliver these non-functional requirements, one really needs to work with the communication architecture, deployment architecture, security architecture, and much more than that is the application, because that is what relates to the business. And that is what meets the business demand, right? So as an example, for the longest period when we worked with the major payment networks, they're all focused. They were focused dominantly on the card, use of card. In fact, bulk of the world really knows digital payments as just the card payments. It's India which has actually made globally the best use case for adoption of digital payments. So the applications for the account-based payment like UPI would be very different from those with a card and those with say even within cards, you got prepaid cards, you got commercial cards, etc. So you see a range of payment instruments that get deployed, and there could be hundreds of different use cases, and that's where the applications come in. So when we look at RS's experience over the 30 plus years, we've had the opportunity to work with global leaders across the range of business use cases. And that is really where you need to combine those with the communication architecture, security architecture, to make sure that you are able to process those with high availability, highly secure, and make sure, because look at it, when you and I make a payment, let's say you go to the Taj Mahal Hotel for a cup of coffee, and you got to now pay with your card. You don't want to spend more than a few seconds if you can just to get your payment done. And that's why the speed, payments and the speed of thought becomes very critical.
Right. Thank you. So now, when you enable digital payment infrastructure for stakeholders, right, which are who are probably looking to create an ecosystem in the digital payment value chain, how has been your experience of working with Indian stakeholders and Indian partners? Right. The first thing. Second thing is, besides the technology, people, they are the probably the asset for any organization, right? Who do all the work for you. So talent, you need talent to, execute all these work on all these technologies and collaborate with different partners, which is again a Herculean task. So, what are your views on this?
I think Indian stakeholders are absolutely amazing in the sense that everybody comes in together with a passion. It's a national pride. And I am really glad that our software is getting the opportunity to give it back to the nation. And I would say that our experience of working not just with the National Payments Corporation of India, but also with the many thought leaders in the country in the world of payments, or even at times with the MITI or the Ministry of Information Technology, right? And of course through NASCOM. I would say our experience has been just brilliant, and I see India's leadership in digital payments, continuing for very many years to come. In my view, if I look back in 1991, when India's economy started to get liberalized, it was in that environment RS Software was born and incepted. And then IT industry became one of the major brands for India. And even today, India has the largest market share when it comes to IT outsourcing. But what payments have been able to do for India is a top of the line credibility. It's a recognition by anybody who matters in the world of payments that India has taken a lead which is unmatchable and second to none. Although China has also done a great job, but India is the one which has opened up to the globe. And what I would say, India is the only country which has actually built what is termed in our industry as the third generation digital payment infrastructure with UPI. And as a result of that, I believe that what India will continue to do in the world of payments, there'll be a lot of learning, a lot of experience gained by rest of the world. But each country, as you would well appreciate, has has nuances of its own, right from infrastructure to the application needs. So every country will build its own sets of digital payment infrastructure while learning from the global brands.
Thank you. And my second question to you was, about the people who
Yes,
probably work within your organization,
yes,
or the people probably you have outsourced to work on different technologies.
of course. I think uh, Bengal within India has always represented a good set of IT knowledgeable population, continues to do so. India is a country with millions of engineering institutions. I remember in the late 90s, post the McKinsey report on IT industry competitiveness for India, we were lobbying with the Ministry of Education and we were lobbying with the Ministry of Technology, Information Technology Ministry, to really get more and more colleges opened up across the country because we need more talent, and Ministry of HR as well. So when you think about it, the availability of education across the country has improved dramatically for the not just the engineering, but even the MCA, etc., and some of the other disciplines have come into the field of technology. Now, coming to your specific question within our software, from our inception itself, we realized that talent is a great asset, and this industry is founded on talent. But at the same time, it's a process architecture which even supersedes the talent, and a process architecture that involves building knowledge repositories, building school of payment internally, building payments innovation lab internally. In fact, our software combines all of the three components. The knowledge repository built over 30 years. It's our school of payment meant for our sites, our payments innovation lab, where we have invented on an ongoing basis several use cases for our client globally and for India. So all of this keeps our talent highly motivated, highly nurtured, and I believe that's the only way to get great talent to perform even to the next level.
Right. Thank you. So, can you provide? I mean, this is a related question to what you just said. Can you provide insight into, RS accelerators, including frameworks, softwares, components, right? Knowledge repository and digital assets. How do these elements actually, span the software delivery life cycle? In
Sure,
delivering solutions across the value chain impacted by payment modernization.
sure, absolutely. In fact, I believe that payments modernization is probably one of the largest activities happening in the world for the past about 5 to 7 years, particularly, maybe 10 years initiated, and it is a multi-decade opportunity because it takes a long time for the payment infrastructure to get modernized. It's been about 60 years since the first electronic card payment infrastructure got created, right? And in the meantime, technology evolution has happened hugely. So when we think about our initiatives in the world of payments, up until about 2015, we were dominantly a services company and building technology for our global clientele. Is that when we realized that the world of payment is changing dramatically. Fintechs were already around, and we knew the digital payments world is going to look totally different from what it looked at that time. So we took a leap of faith in our capability. We got out of our major contract with some of our global clients, and we said we are going to be our own venture capital company, and we are going to transition to becoming an API first, cloud first, mobile first company, which are the basic foundation pillars for the digital world. And with that in mind, over the last, I would say, 6 to 7 years, RS Software has invested over ₹1 billion of its own to build this suite of products and frameworks which span across the cycle of payments modernization and particularly for the account-based payments. And that means for the authorization, for clearing and settlement, that means for the banks and the institutions and the fintechs to get enabled for the digital payments. And then you look at fraud and risk. As we very well know, as adoption of payments increases, so do the fraudsters. Fraudsters are very creative. They use, many times they are ahead of the curve. So therefore, you got to build traps for them that they cannot get through. And this requires a huge application of technology that is constantly evolving, including artificial intelligence, including deep machine learning tools, etc.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Jain. So, the RS Innovation Lab, right, that is described by the organization as an incubator to transform the unknown into an unforgettable one. So, can you
Absolutely.
provide some examples, of successful innovations that have emerged from this lab, particularly
Absolutely.
probably in the areas of real-time payments, bill payment, fraud and risk management, and you just mentioned about IoT, emerging technologies, so IoT, blockchain, etc.
Absolutely. So uh, I remember the inception of the lab happened when we were working with data for the largest payment network in the world, and we were deploying a extraction tool, ab initio, which is great at that time, and but was very expensive too. And at that time, in our innovation lab, we started to look at alternates to ab initio and how that would also allow increased availability of data because of higher adoption to be processed, etc. And there's an open source tool called Hadoop, and which is what we started working with. And within about, I would say, 18 months of working with that in our innovation lab, we were able to successfully take that to a production environment at our client location, where their ability to be able to process data and translate that into intelligence for its customers, that time frame moved from almost about 17 days eventually to 2 days. It's a huge gain from a timing point of view. Data, as you would well imagine, is uh, is the most powerful asset that emerges out of the payments world. But the payments world generates probably the best quality of data that can be used to build intelligence for multiple applications. So we done a lot of work on the data front. Then when you think about using deep machine learning along combined with AI, now that was a big project in our innovation lab, which finally got translated into building and designing the fraud and risk platform for India. And I remember having visited the our head of innovation was invited to visit MIT in Boston and to share our experience. And because they also had a similar project which was in progress, and within 10 minutes of the meeting, the professor in charge, he said to our head of innovation that you guys seem to be even further ahead of us. So that is a great validation for us. And when we think about the speed at which, the pace at which UPI and real-time payments are getting adopted in the country, I will tell you, it needs the highest levels of creativity and innovation to inject into the technology that will process volumes of transactions at levels of billions and billions of transactions in a month, right? We are already up at 11. Who knows, in 24 months, we could be at 20 billion transactions a month, 25 billion transactions a month. But that's a very large number. The world hasn't experienced that. So therefore, we have current progress going on in our several projects at the Innovation Lab. How do we make that happen while making sure security is not compromised, communication architecture is not compromised, deployment is not compromised? So these are some of the few examples on this short interview call that I can share with you.
Right. That's great. So while a lot of things are happening around us and we are collaborating with different partners, right? You have mentioned about that every step probably we are taking care of security measures also, but still we have seen, um, incidences where data has been, compromised, right, in
I
various
told you,
financial.
I told you, fraudsters are times even more creative. They're a little ahead of the curve. Then everybody keeps catching up. This is the ongoing cycle.
Right. So what any particular thing that you would like to talk about, any method, any way where RS software is probably doing something remarkable to ensure the security of the data whenever it is working with its clients across the world.
So there is a you know innovation project which is on right now, which I'm
Hmm.
not at liberty to share to the
Hmm.
media because the product is going to be launched sometimes middle of next year. So, but that is really where uh, we are working on bringing fraud and risk management at what I would call super high volume level, and
All right.
that would be I believe the first of its kind in the world to be able to allow that kind of capability with the kind of volume that India is demonstrating.
Right. We will wait for this update. Now, moving, for, next question. What future trends do you anticipate will, have a significant impact on the organization's approach, your RS Software's approach and its strategy?
Sure. So if you look at our software over the last 30 years, there is one thing that anybody would be able to observe. Our software has always been uh, ahead of the curve and been very strategic in its direction. So, as an example, in 1991, when the company was incepted, the vision of the company was very clear to be a quality software services company from India for the international markets. That's exactly what we did. We can't take any credit for putting payments right at the part of our vision in back in 1991. because digital payments are just about evolving at that time. But we were very fortunate that amongst the first set of clients that we got were two of the world leaders in the world of payments, American Express and Visa. So we learned a lot while working with them about the world of payment. And then gradually, success begets success, as they say. We got many more clients in the world of payments in the full life cycle, right from a payment network all the way to acquirers like First Data, etc. So result is, and I remember we were one of the first companies to work on what is called a virtual terminal, and this is back in 2005, 2006. So almost about 15, 16 years ago. So strategy has always been a good strength of our software. If I look at our track record, I believe, and in fact, it's been told to us by several people across the globe, that they don't really see very many companies in the world like our software. And because of the depth and the quality of experience that we've had in the world of payments. So where we see moving forward is digital payments, that means account-based payments, continuing to increase on the adoption, and therefore data and the speed of processing and security of the real-time payment is going to be a constant focus. When you look at even the card world, it's not going to go away anywhere. It's been around for 60 plus years. And they also want to be able to authorize, process their transactions in almost real time. So I imagine Herschel 10 years forward being able to transact and make a payment for whatever you purchase in a much more convenient and faster time frame than what you do today. And our goalpost of payments and the speed of thought is going to keep getting pushed further and further, and we are passionate to keep moving towards it.
Right. Great. Thank you. So, which part of the world RS software is currently working in?
So we're working in 3 continents: North America, we're working in India, and we're working in Europe.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jain, for this interaction, and it was wonderful, talking to you and
Thank you.
seeking your inputs and your views on different matter, different issues related to payment industry. So, with this, we shall formally close this conversation here. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Herschel. Have a wonderful day.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.